serious psychiatrists slash psychologists of Reddit, what is the most profound or insightful thing you have ever heard from a patient with a mental illness? I'm a recovery specialist, and one time my client said, I guess I missed the transition from when the ground was lava and imaginary friends became schizophrenia. That broke my heart. This actually reminds me of a quote from World of Warcraft. Basically, there's this guy who's called Ramda the Mad. He's called mad because he sees and interacts with ghosts. When you meet him, there's this kid near him who also sees ghosts. When you talk to the kid, he says it's kind of funny. I see ghosts and people just smile and pat me on the head, trying to placate me. Ramda sees ghosts and people label him as crazy. I sure hope I never grow up. Imagine if every small decision felt like it had life or death consequences. Describing living with an anxiety disorder. It's like a life or death game of chess. You have to think 10 moves ahead and have a move for every situation in advance. The fear of death gets worse with every possible move you analyze. And if life makes a move that you didn't see coming, instant breakdown, no matter how small and significant the move was. I want to kill myself, but I don't want to die. Believe it or not, those are two different things. That hits home. For me, it's more like it's not that I want to die. I just want to not have existed. Edit. If you can take the time out to upvote, then think about how much we could do if we all tried to help. Not with gold, or dollars, or euros, but with time. Trust me, you want to know the feeling of pouring soup at a homeless shelter. You want to know the joy of giving. Help the world. Do it, lol. Second edit. Thanks for the upvotes. I'm about to cry. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I love you all. I was interviewing a bipolar patient. I asked him how he would describe himself, an altruistic lover of truth and beauty. I then asked him how others would describe him. Bitter. Probably. I love his self-awareness. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize this. Edit. When I write a lot of people, I'm referring to people in general, not just those with the bipolar disorder. The medication made the voices go away. I'm lonely now. My daughter was experiencing two main hallucinations. The Dark Man and Leo. The Dark Man told her to do bad things to herself and other people. He threatened her all the time. Even attacked Leo when she didn't do what he wanted her to do. Leo was a teenage boy around her own age. He was very attractive and caring. He loved her and told her all the good things to make her feel better. She demanded I get her a larger bed so that Leo would have a place to lay down with her. I got her the bed. When offered medication to remove the hallucinations, she refused. She didn't want to let go of Leo. We tried to explain that allowing Leo also allowed the Dark Man. She still refused. She's much better now, around 3 years later. She's been in therapy and does not take medications. She met a boy who, she says, looks remarkably like Leo. They both work with each other to help each other heal, though she does realize that she should not be relying on him. She no longer sees either hallucination. But your quote made me think of that. I'm a cannibal investigator. How crazy is it that I have that job? You'd think someone could just go up to these people and say, hey you, quit eating people. A schizophrenic woman with delusions that she was working for the FBI investigating child molesters and cannibals also believed her twin sister was trying to steal her identity. After about a week of treatment, she still had the same delusions, but was no longer really concerned with them. Completely aware of the absurdity of her supposed profession. Still thought her sister was trying to steal her organs, but she was fine with going to live with her because she was otherwise really a nice person. I don't know which I'm more afraid of, that one day I'll wake up with the will to kill myself, or that I never do. From a patient who suffers from schizophrenia, why should I take this medication? When I'm under this, I feel so empty. He was full of delusions, thinking he was the reincarnation of God and regularly living the nirvana. It doesn't take talent to practice. Therapist here. I was working with a defiant teenager and sports was his only outlet. He had big dreams of being in a professional league, but knew he was horrible at it. I thought his statement was really inspiring. I think about it often when trying new things. She forgot to bring my headphones, and I'm the one who's crazy. yelled by a psych ward patient at the end of visiting hours. His wife brought him an iPod and forgot the headphones. Everyone laughed. Patients, visitors, staff. The goodbyes that night were a little less sad for a change. From a patient with bipolar at a nursing home I worked at, when talking about how arbitrary the diagnostic guidelines can be. I don't take my meds to fix me, because there's nothing wrong with me. I take them, because everyone else is crazy, and I need to fit in. A patient recovering from body image issues told me we spend our whole lives trying to get to a certain place, or acquire certain things, so that we may be happy. But true happiness is when you realize you are never going to get to that place, or that, even when you do, you will still be dreaming of a new place or new things. So happiness has to start now, with what we have. I worked with a child, 11 years and diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, and I was having a conversation about how it affects interpersonal communication. I was fumbling through explaining nonverbal cues, misunderstandings, etc. when he said to me, "It's like trying to explain color to someone who's color or blind." Having us, I can say that is completely accurate. I've improved a bit now, but it's like explaining the biological phenomenon of walking to someone who was born without legs. After a while, they may understand the mechanics of it, but they'll never really know how it feels. They'll always only understand it conceptually, never actually knowing how it feels to run through a meadow or walk through a park. Even if they receive prosthesis, it won't be the same. They'll still have to learn to walk, and even then, it won't be the same. Edit, words. Patient with schizophrenia that described it as spending all day in a locked room with a stereo on full blast and not being able to turn the volume down. I work with kids. I had a kiddo in my office, probably 7 to 9 years old, somewhere in there, and everything he played with crashed, exploded or was destroyed in some way. I asked him about it, after he drew a picture then scribbled it out. He had a difficult past, not living with his parents, witnessed drug use, etc. Well, if you get mad at the grown-ups who make you mad, you get in trouble. But if you make an explosion or a car crash, they think you're just playing. Yep, 100%. Even grown-ups do this. One of my clients had paranoid schizophrenia, and he was recovering from yet another in a long string of hospitalizations due to a significant psychotic episode. We were sitting together quietly, and there was a lull in the conversation. He suddenly looked up and said, "Hey, you know Lord of the Rings? Did you ever think that those books might actually be prophecy?" I said, "No, I don't think they are. They are really interesting and enjoyable, but they are just made up stories." Professor Tolkien even said so himself. He seemed to mull over this for a few moments and said, "Yeah, you're probably right. Sometimes I wonder about things like that, but I have paranoid schizophrenia." Oftentimes we talk about an individual's reality testing, which describes an individual's ability to reconcile their inner beliefs with their outer experience. People with poor reality testing, due to psychosis, for example, will often have distorted beliefs about the rest of the world. It was great to see a moment of real clarity and self-awareness through this guy's frequent fog of struggle. He's a pretty talented musician too, and that seemed to give him a great deal of relief. Feeling pain is better than feeling nothing. This came from a teenager in juvenile hall upon returning from a psychiatric hold for self-injurious behaviors. I was part of his treatment team in the hall and had to make the 5150 call. He explained during our next session that this was the reason for banging his head against a steel door. He couldn't feel anything. No sadness, no joy, nothing. He needed to feel. He chose pain. "This is how I feel in my antidepressants. Numb. Sure, I don't feel depressed, but I also don't feel excitement. I can only muster the slightest emotions, like a smile when my best friend got married, or a frown when someone dies. I can't get excited or overjoyed, or cry. And it scares me. It was worse before the meds. But now, I think I would be better off of them. I'm going to talk to my doctor about lowering my dose. I've been on them for over a year, and I've made a lot of progress in therapy. A year ago, I was completely numb, even before the meds. Now, I have emotions. They are just dulled." I said to my therapist the other day that my meds keep me from feeling depressed, but they also keep me from caring about anything. I pull all-nighters because I put off my term paper until the night before it's due because I couldn't be bothered to care about it before. And that kind of scares me. I'd rather have anxiety off the meds and work on it with my depression with my therapist than be unfeeling and uncaring. Maybe I should get a divorce is one of my all-time favorites. Or something similar. I was a psychotherapist for years and my favorite moments were always when the client did a 180 and accepted the thing they were trying to avoid by coming to therapy. They think they're coming in to save their marriage, but in reality they really needed to save themselves. I feel like a ghost, walking around unseen in the backdrops of these other happy lives. 56-year-old alcoholic. Edit. Obligatory holy shit. This blew up edit. I've worked in addictions treatment for many years, and this man was one of my first clients. Without breaking confidentiality, he lived a long successful life, a high-functioning alcoholic. He had a wife and kids, and was still so dissatisfied, just buried in self-pity and little regrets which had piled up over the years. I was able to help him get clean, and he actually emailed me not long ago. Still doing well. Still sober. If you or anyone you love is struggling with addiction, there is help out there. Check yourself into treatment. There's no shame in asking for help. You don't get a get well card for depression. People don't see it as an illness.